channel. My name is Timikemza James. So I bring you a very fun tutorial today. But for our new and old subscribers, you're all welcome and I love you all. So in today's video, we're going to learn how to make a princess baby dress. You know those cute dresses that looks really puffy and nice on baby girls? That's what we're going to be making. So one thing you have to understand about those dresses is they're actually miniature wedding dresses. So even though they are worn on children and it doesn't require a lot of work on the chest area, right? So that's the reason why even if you're a beginner in sewing and you're not too good in sewing, you might not be able to make wedding dresses, but you definitely be able to make this type of dresses. So if you want to see how I made these dresses, do watch this video to the end. So today I woke up and I had to go to the market. I wanted to actually make it a vlog, but I just couldn't, right? So I went to the market to buy all my fabric. So I might not be able to finish the sewing today because I took some time to go to the market and it took me a couple of hours, right? So with going to the market and everything took me about 4-5 hours. So I've lost 4 to 5 hours of work from the day. So I might do I might take maybe 2 or 3 days to record this video because I'll be making maybe 4 or 5 of those dresses. So I don't know. I have these nieces that I really want to make dresses for them. So let me run you into the things that I went to buy in the market. So I got 15 yards of these. I'm going to be making 2 dresses out of the 15 yards. Then this is 2 and it's mesh, so the softer 2, right? Then I got this. I'm going to be using 1 yard of this to line each dress. So I'm using a total of 2 yards out of this. I have 4 yards here. Then I also have 15 yards of red tulle. I'm going to be using it for 2 other dresses. Then I have this organza for the red yard. This will help the dress to look more puffy. Then I have this fabric is a satin fabric. I have like 2 yards of it. I'm going to be using it as an underline for the lilac tulle, and then I'm also going to be using it as a lining piece for the upper side of the dress. Then I have this velvet material that I'm going to be using for the upper part of the dress, and it's going to be the main fabric of the dress, this velvet material. So I have about 1 yard of it here. Then I have scrap of this white velvet. I'm not sure what I'm going to be using it for, but I might use it, I might not. Then I have this red satin that I'm also going to be using as an underline for the red dress. Then I have all of these hard net. This is hard net, so it's actually the main thing that is going to make all the dresses firm. So I have a lot of it here. I can't remember how many yards, but I have quite it's a lot, guys. It's just because they folded it nicely, that's why it's looking this small, but it's a lot. Then I have zippers that I'm going to be using. I bought these plastic zippers. You can use any zip of your choice, right? Then I have this really beautiful, they call it rice beads. I'm going to use it to embellish the red dress. Then I have this needle also. I bought this to use for I'm going to use it for this beading. So I need a really tiny needle, and these are really tiny needles. So I bought a pack of it, and I have supplies, all my threads. I have the lilac, the red thread. You can use any thread that you like. And then I have interfacing material. They call this hairstay. I have this material also that I'm going to be using. And I have glue gun. I bought this. They call it a glue gun. Then the glue, this is what the glue looks like. So you insert it in the glue gun and plug it to electricity, generate heat, so it will melt this. I'm going to be using it for embellishment. right? And then I bought pattern papers. That's what I'm going to be using to be drafting patterns of the upper side of the dress with, guys. So these are all the supplies for everything here. I think I spent around 15,000 naira for everything that I have here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try to make at least 4 dresses. Yes, 4 dresses out of it. So this is actually telling you secrets of what tailors or fashion designers do, right? So in case you're not a fashion designer, or you're a fashion designer and you're wondering how much you should charge for a dress or something, this video is most likely going to help you. So out of that 15,000 naira, I'm going to try to make 4 dresses, right, for children who are age 7 and 4. So I'm going to try to see what I can do with this, right? So if I end up purchasing other things, okay, I think I got crinoline. I have crinoline, and that crinoline is not from the 5,000, from the 15,000. So let's say 17,000 naira. That's what I'm using for these dresses. So I'm going to try to see how I maximize that money so that you can have an idea of what to charge for such dresses, right? So without further ado, let's get into the video. But if I later on buy anything, I'm going to tell you, so that will be much later in the video. So let's get into drafting and cutting. So I'm going to draft pattern for the 7-year-old first, then I would draft the 4-year-old off camera, right? But it's the same procedure. So for the 7-year-old, the half length is 12 inches. That's the upper side of the dress. I want it to be 12 inches, but I marked it 12 and a half because I'm going to use half inch here to join the upper side of the dress to the tulle side, which is the fuller side of the dress. So her shoulder is 13 inches, so I'm going to be dividing 13 by 2, like so. I'm dividing 13 by 2 to find half of her shoulder. So that's what I'm going to be marking here. Then from there, I'm going to come down by 3/4 of an inch. I'm not doing 1 inch shoulder slant in this one. Then I want her neck. For the neck width, I'm starting off by 2.5, right? I'm going to still open it wider than that, but that's where I'm starting off from. So I'm just going to connect that line. Then I'm coming down. For her armhole, I'm going to be doing 4.5, right? So by the time I'm done, it's going to be 5.25. So that's what I'm going to mark here, so that I can connect that in a straight line. So this side is going to be her chest line. It's just like drafting an adult's bodies, right? It's the same procedure with that of an adult. So whatever I have here, I'm going to square this side out. Just going ahead to square this side out. Then I'm going to insert her bust measurement, which is 28. I'm going to divide 28 by 4. So she's a little chubby. I like sewing for chubby babies. I'm going to divide 28 by 4. I have 7 inches. So I'm going to be marking my 7 inches like so. Then I'm adding just 1/4 of an inch for ease, because I don't want it too tight on her body. Then 1 inch sewing allowance. So we know that children don't really have anything like on their affluence point is mostly the same thing as their bodies. So whatever I have here is what I'm going to come down here and insert like so. So mind you, my pattern paper is folded in 2, right? So I'm just going straight. Then I'm going to do the armhole curve now. So now I'm going to do my neckline. For my neckline, I'm going to make it 3, not 2.5. So I'm bringing the remaining half on the shoulder slant, right? Then I'm coming down by 3 as well, or you can do 2.5. It's totally up to you. But let me do 3. So I'm just going to connect my neckline using my curve, connecting it like so. So this is what I have now. So I'm going to be cutting this. Now from this pattern, I'm going to be making any other style that I want to make. I'm going to be making it from this pattern. I'm leaving a little bit of allowance on the shoulder here for joining the shoulder part. So that's about 1/4 of an inch. I might end up sharing this video into 2 parts, right? Because I'm going to, one of the dresses might be a mono shoulder, so I might end up doing that in another video. So I'm going to still use the same pattern to cut the back side, just that the back pattern is going to be higher. For the neck, it will be higher. That's the difference. But if you want it to be sort of a show back or a deep back, you can go ahead and bring the back side deeper. You can, from this pattern, you can do anything you want to do. I don't even if it's the one shoulder dress you want to do, you can just cut it out from here and it will be one shoulder. So this is what our pattern looks like. So I'm just going to go ahead and draft that of the 4-year-old off camera, so that I'll come back and I'll show you every other thing that I'm doing.
So from the 15 yards of mesh, I'm just going ahead to cut it out and share it into 4 places according to the length of the dress, and I'm also going to be gathering those mesh together with my organza. I'm gathering them all and I'm joining them together before I go ahead to overlock them, right? So now I'm just going here to place my pattern paper, and I'm going to be cutting the upper side of my dress. I'll be cutting a lace material for it as well.
So guys, I just went ahead to fold this fabric nicely. I just want to cut a straight strip, right? Then I measured out 20 inches. This is going to be one of the lining pieces. So this 13 is 20 inches. So that's what I'm going to be cutting out now, so that I can have a long strip. So this is just what I cut out. So this is going to be an underlay for the tulle and the organza layer.
So now I'm just stitching down the satin fabric that I have gathered initially down, and then I'm joining the tulle and organza gathers. I'm just, that layer, I'm joining it together with the satin fabric, and I'm sewing it down after going ahead to serge it. Now this is my crinoline. I'm going to be adding crinoline to the outer layer of the skirt, or let's call that the tutu skirt at the moment. So this is also a bonus tutorial to teach you how to use crinoline. I'm using this 1-inch crinoline, so I'm just going to sew it very close to the hem of the fabric, right? I'm just going ahead to sew that nicely, but as you're sewing, ensure that you're not drawing your crinoline or your fabric. Everything should lay nice and flat, after which I'm going to flip it over from the right side. Now that was where I sewed. I'm flipping it over to the wrong side like so. then I'm going to be sewing that part as well. Now I'm sewing to the other extreme of the crinoline. Initially I sewed close to the hem, but this time around I'm sewing the inner part of the crinoline together with the net, and then I'm ensuring that I move everything nice so that it lays flat. You'd have to be arranging that with your hands, and be careful, and you really want to use a new needle when you're doing this. If not, if there are any rough edges, it will spoil your dress. Now I just picked out a rectangular piece, and I'm making this belt for the dress, right? I cut out a rectangle. Now this is my part, my upper bodies. I cut out this lace fabric that I want to be using on the bodies. That the lace is going to be the outer part of the dress, and I'm just going ahead to lay the lace on my interfacing, right? Or let me say my satin fabric. I laid out my lace there, and I'm stitching it down. So front and back I did the same. So I'm going to be joining my shoulder now, my shoulder line. I'm joining that together. Mind you, I interfaced my satin fabric with this hairstay. That's why you're seeing that white fabric there. So I'm joining my other shoulder, then I'll come back to do my sleeve. So for the sleeve, guys, I just went ahead to cut out this cone shaped this cup shaped sleeve, because I want a cup sleeve and I really want a small sleeve. So I just added satin and lace. Then I'm going to be sewing it and be making pleats around the shoulder of the sleeve, right? After preparing my sleeve, I'm just going ahead to add my sleeve. Now mind you, I've not added my lining yet, and I'm going to come back to add my lining, right? So I'm just ensuring that my sleeve sits properly. This is a little bit uh, it gave me a little bit of work here, because my needle was really fighting with the sequin on the lace, guys, but I managed to do it anyway. Then I joined my side seam, and I sandwiched my belt in between my side seams. Likewise the other side, I also close off my side seam, and I went ahead to give it a very good press, and I open pressed it, guys. So I now came back and I did the same thing to my lining piece. Now I'm going to be joining my lining piece to my dress, starting from the neckline. I'm just going ahead to sew the neckline. Then I snip round the neckline and I top stitch. After top stitching, I'm going to be doing my armhole, right? So I'm closing my armhole, right side facing right side, just like I did to the neckline. Then I'll do one part, I'll flip it and do the other part, right? Because you cannot go round the armhole at the same time, because you might not be able to turn it over to the right side anymore. So that's what I'm just doing, and then I'm making snips so that it can turn easily. Then I went ahead to close off my zipper side, right? Where my zip allowance is, it was open initially. Then I closed that off, and I also went ahead to do the other side of the zipper. I closed it off. I'm trimming out any excesses, and I'm turning it to ensure that every corner lays out nicely. Then I'm going ahead to close off the hem of the upper side of the dress. I'm closing the lining um with the bodies, right, which is the main material. I'm just going ahead to close that. Then I'm doing my lining piece, which I'm going to, for the skirt side, which I'm adding my hard net. So I've actually cut out my hard net like 8 inches, and then I drew gathers on it, and then I'm adding it to my lining piece, which is going to be inside the underskirt. So this layer is like the petticoat, right? After which, these are my panels that I have now. I have the tulle panel, which is the main skirts outside. Then I have the lining piece, which is like the petticoat. It's actually the petticoat, not like the petticoat. I have that, and then I have the upper side of my blouse. So we're almost done with our dress. I'm going to come over to assemble them, right? So this is it about the dress. Now let's go over to the machine to assemble. So for the assembling of the dress, I'm going to be matching the tulle side, right? So the right side of the tulle side, I'm going to be sewing, and all my seam allowances will be facing the right side. So I know this sounds weird, but my seam allowances are going to be on the outside of the dress, because I'm going to sew back um the other skirt side to close the seam allowances, right? So after doing that, you can see this is the right side of my dress that you're seeing like this, and you're seeing this petticoat outside like this. So I'm going to come over with my skirt part and match it right side of the dress facing right side of the upper dress facing the right side of the skirt. Then I'm going to pin it down, and I'm going to sew nicely. So by the time I sew this and I drop it down, it's going to cover this hard net. You can see I'm just sewing along the waist area of the dress, right? And then I'm ensuring that it doesn't hold my belt, or I do not sew on my belt. So I'm just sewing using 1-inch sewing allowance, right? By the time you're done, if you have any raw edges, you can go ahead and fine tune those ones, and then take out any thread that is revealing. Now I'm just closing my dress, and I'm leaving a certain amount of allowances, like 5 inches towards the waist side. Now I'm closing this dress one layer after another layer. I started off with the lining layer, then I did the satin layer, now the organza layer, and then the tulle layer. For the tulle layer, after I was done, I also put my hands inside of it so that I can sew, because I actually sewed it seam allowances facing outside. That's for the tulle layer. So now I'm just going to turn that and sew again, so that my seam allowances will now be enclosed on the inside of the dress. I just did that so that my dress can look nice and clean. So you can see that's what I'm doing now. So I'm just going to be sewing my seam allowance to remain inside before I come back to fix my zipper. So as for my zip, I went ahead to change my presser foot, right? I changed it to a zipper foot. It will really make your work easier if you have a zipper foot, because guys, there are a lot of layers in this thing, and it is really difficult to sew it without the zipper foot. So if you have a zipper foot, it's a good investment, but if you don't, make sure that you hand stitch your zipper before you go to your machine to stitch. And I'm only stitching my zip on my tulle layer, from my bodice to my tulle layer. I'm not stitching the entire layer, because it will not look nice if you do the entire thing. So this is it, guys, about that. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I have a new video up on the channel. And if you do recreate this, please tag me in all your recreations, guys. I would love to see that, right? But till then, see you in my next video, guys. Bye.